Okay, welcome back, everybody. And I'll tell you, we've been talking about this all week. I've been writing about it at Amato for Liberty. I've been writing about it at biggovernment.com. The New Jersey judge issuing an order that James O'Keefe, our next guest, will not be able to travel outside of New Jersey. Did not issue a reason why. This went against what the judge had done in the past on a routine basis. Former U.S. Senate candidate Joe Miller came on the show last night, who happens to be a former U.S. magistrate, and said, this is shocking. It's just, something's not right here. I can't believe the judge did this. Joining me at this time with the latest in this development is the undercover man himself, James O'Keefe. James, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Rick.
Our pleasure. Hey, James, so what is the latest? Will you be joining us in California June 10th and 11th at the Eagle Forum Conference or not?
Well, I will be happy to break the news on your show that I will be joining you and everyone at the conference there in California, and I will be allowed to travel to all events in June. The judge has allowed me to travel. There was a discrepancy or a misunderstanding there, and it got cleared up, and now I'm allowed to travel once again. So, good news. I will be attending the event, and I can't wait to see everyone.
So, James O'Keefe, you just broke the news here on the Rick Amato Show. You will be joining us in California June 10th and 11th. You are allowed to travel outside of New Jersey. You said there was a misunderstanding. Can you go into it at all?
I'd rather not get into the very specifics of it, but Mike Madigan, who is my attorney, he's a very good lawyer, and he's helped me out. And I think, Rick, we got our 501c3 status, our C3 status recently. It's been reported in the New York Times last Friday. There was an article about it. And I think just being allowed, our mission, Rick, is to expose waste, fraud, dishonesty, abuse, corruption in public and private institutions in order to make society more ethical and transparent. That's a good mission. That's something that I think that even if you're on probation for a Class B misdemeanor, you should be allowed to do that. You should be allowed to continue that mission. I think that the court understands that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue to do that mission. The IRS recognizes it's a mission that's worthy of doing. So I'm going to continue to do it, and let me say this too, that even in the worst possible case scenario, Rick, if for whatever reason I'm denied the ability to travel, or I'm put under some type of restriction, that we are creating an army of citizens out there to follow in my footsteps, and I'm not the one necessarily that's going to be going in these offices and be doing these investigations. I play a hand in them for sure, but there are other people out there, so even if they try to stop me, it's not going to stop us. And I just want to make that clear that the show will go on.
Wow, it sounds like someone who is passionate and committed. You said we're creating an army of citizens, James O'Keefe. I will tell you, you probably have seen the comments ever since we put the news out there that this restriction was put on you of joining us in California. I did so in my newsletter, Amato for Liberty. I had it republished at Big Government. Comments and email from all across America saying that James O'Keefe is the one who started citizen journalism, and Andrew Breitbart may take exception to that, but those were the comments from the right by and large. He started citizen journalism. This isn't right, and he's you're held in high esteem by the folks out there.
And I don't think I've started it. I think that it's I may have continued this sort of tradition. Undercover work, gonzo journalism, whatever you call it. I think it's a combination of many different genres. The cool thing is that we do it on YouTube. this news is broken on blogs and on websites that's kind of unique because now it's the kind of citizens who are dominating the news cycle and finding out these instances of corruption, abuse, and waste and fraud. I think that the pioneering comes in the fact that you're combining so many unique genres, and it's revolutionizing journalism. I mean, the New York Times is starting. The New York Times Magazine will be doing a piece soon about this, and they're talking to me and they're talking to Andrew. So I think that people are starting to take it seriously. I think after the NPR story, people are really taking us seriously. And I also want to say that a lot of people that have contacted you and have said, how can they do this to James? And I think that the answer is, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny applied to me. And I can whine, and I have thought about the injustice of some of the things that have happened to us, but you have to understand that when you go after powerful institutions, they're going to come down on you.
Yeah.
And I think the law is sufficiently ambiguous. I think the law is so unclear in so many scenarios that you got to just be really careful. And they're going to try to interpret these statutes to criminalize everything like they do. But we have got to be careful. We got to be mindful of that. And I'm going to continue fighting. I mean, you can't do this unless you're passionate about it. And I'm going to continue fighting for what I believe in, and I'm going to continue training others so that they can pick up where I left off.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news: James O'Keefe just broke it right here on the show. He will be joining us June 10th and 11th at the Eagle Forum Conference. The judge's restriction has been, can we say it's been lifted? Is that proper terminology?
I guess so. Yeah, he granted the motion to allow me to travel. For work purposes, and to go to these conferences and these events and do my journalism. So I'm very happy about that. Very pleased with Mike Madigan. By the way, if you want to continue to support our legal efforts and funds, you can go to our website, which is exposenpr.com. That'll redirect you to Project Veritas. Exposenpr.com to make a donation so that we can pay. I can pay my attorney, who's being very generous with his time, and you can support our other efforts there too.
Breaking. What was exposenpr.now.com? It sounds like a story you may have covered once.
Exactly. and also in the coming weeks, and I do mean weeks, you're going to see potentially a new, like that citizen army I was talking about around the country, where you're going to start seeing new stories pop up. We're gearing up for our next project, so I'm really excited about that. I'm just in post-production on our next video series, so we're busy working on that. And like I said, it's not going to just be O'Keefe. There's going to be people across the country. You're going to see them come out, and artistically, metaphorically, they're going to be coming out, and they're going to be showing you. There's going to be a lot of different citizens in states across the country with one of our new video projects coming out soon.
Can you give us an idea? One of the things you'll be talking about here is, according to what organizers have told me, James, is how to be an effective citizen journalist, how to use the tools. A lot of people across America will be attending this conference. Can you give us a little sidebar of a little bullet point or two of what you might be sharing, or have you thought that far into it yet?
Yeah, I mean, the gist of it is that, I mean, I've thought about this a lot recently, Rick. People say, "Oh, you're conservative, you're a liberal," and I would like to make one clarification. I think that in many ways we're kind of ticking off where the 1960s or the Mother Jones magazines and the muckrakers. These are not considered to be conservative things, and I think that the lesson I've learned in my struggle over the last 2 years or so doing all this is that this is really a mission to kind of speak truth to power, expose the power structures, the authoritarians, the tyrants of the world. And this is not really a conservative mission. It is a citizen-oriented mission to expose those in power and abuse of power. And I think that's the heart of it. And I don't understand, for example, why Soros' group is not doing what we're doing. Well, why aren't they exposing abuse of power? Why aren't they exposing congresspeople and senators and taxpayer-funded publicly? All they're doing is investigating us. I mean, it's really tragic.
Right.
But the lesson, for the conference goers is to muckrake. Content is king. There's a lot of news aggregators. There's a lot of blogs out there. Everyone wants to be an opinion maker, but really, if you focus on generating brand new journalism, and it doesn't take much. Heck, Hannah and I just walked into an Acorn office and asked people questions. If you focus on generating original content, not hard to do, you are a journalist. And you're scooping all the establishment media because they don't do journalism, they just do stenography. They write down what the politicians tell them.
What's your thought? You just followed Andrew Breitbart, by the way. What's your thought on this whole Wienergate thing that Andrew broke?
I mean, I think I'm not an expert on it.
Sure.
I haven't been reading all the tweets, but from what I've seen, I think it's extremely hypocritical for the media to, and the way they treat certain politicians over other politicians. I know that Breitbart explains in his book Righteous Indignation about how Clarence Thomas inspired him and what Clarence Thomas went through. It's sort of seeing how people treat Clarence Thomas and Bill Clinton versus how they treat something like Anthony Weiner. But the way that it's not so much if he just came out and apologized, but the way they try to cover up for it and lie about it, I think that kind of speaks to their character.
Good point. I don't know if you know this, James, but I said a moment ago I've been writing about your story here in our newsletter, Amato for Liberty, which people can sign up for at amatoforliberty.com. And also I've been writing about it at biggovernment.com. Joe Miller, former U.S. Senate candidate from Alaska.
Yes.
He is also a former U.S. magistrate. He is a subscriber to our newsletter. He sent me an email over the weekend. I was chilling out in Palm Springs trying to get some relax. Got a text from Joe Miller. He said, "This is outrageous. I want to come on the show and talk about it." He came on last night, and he said what this judge has done is shocking. He said, James O'Keefe's very own probation officer has recommended to be allowed to travel. The probation officer's word is like gold. In all my years, I only know of one instance in which a magistrate has gone against a probation officer, and on top of that, no explanation given. So I mean, this got some high profile by some very, very passionate conservatives out there, with Joe Miller being one of them.
Well, I'll say three things. First of which is, a lot of people don't know the specific facts surrounding what happened in Louisiana. I'm in a difficult position here because I am on probation for a Class B misdemeanor, and because of that, it's difficult for me to kind of speak about it without I'm faced such scrutiny about it that everything I say is listened to by these people. So I have to be very careful. But I will say that it's a situation where the Associated Press found out about this before my attorney did, and it's sometimes difficult to deal with. So, but like I said before, even if they deny me the right to travel for whatever reason it is, I'm not going to stop doing my investigative reporting. If I have to fight New Jersey, I fight through New Jersey. If I have to direct from Skype, I direct from Skype. And if for some bizarre reason, I can't imagine how or why, because they've released 46,000 prisoners in California, and they're doing this to me on a Class B misdemeanor. But if for some reason, and I don't mean any disrespect to the court, but if for some reason they put me in jail for some obscure thing, I don't even know what it could be, then I guarantee you there people will follow in my footsteps.
Well,
there's simply too many people out there who we are training and working with, and there's a lot of true believers who are willing to fight for the right reasons.